Maybe misunderstood the animals about communication, right? Because today we're going to talk about communication. Why are we going to talk about communication today? Everything explodes off the phone, all the updates. Trump is flying from Florida to New York to face his arraignment tomorrow. Of course, everyone's coming out and already saying, like, oh, listen, everybody be nice. Don't start any violence. Control yourselves, behave yourself. It's funny how one way, but not the other way. But communication, why do we start with communication? Because today, this is a very special, happy anniversary day. For everyone in the know, 50 years ago today, a gentleman named Martin Cooper, a Motorola engineer, executive, standing out there, the middle of 6th Avenue, 5th Avenue, New York, he made the call, right? Not only did he make the call, he called Bell Telephone, talked to like his immediate competition, which was kind of like a boss move, right? It's kind of like a mic drop before there's a mic drop. But first successful outside of lab cellular telephone call today. Martin Cooper, Motorola engineer, 50 years ago today. And look what we've done in 50 years with microprocessors and chips and Qualcomm devices, all these little things that are integrated into our daily existence. So shout out to Mr. Cooper. Shout out to Motorola. I've great appreciation for Motorola because I've mentioned plenty of times. My pops worked for them from a couple years after. Cooper made the stuff with the cellular phone and the phone call. So like he made it off the brick. Remember having tons of the brick phones in the house. I've talked before about how we had the old cupcake fax when that first thing came out, and we couldn't touch it or we'd be like beheaded and stuff like that. But anyway, beautiful day outside. Started to clear up a little bit, getting a little bit warmer. But I just wanted to make note of Mr. Cooper and all of his all the progress that we've come from. Staying with communication, I want to talk a little bit today about communication, how it's important, how it's interpreted, how it's misinterpreted, how there's so many different styles and forms of communication nowadays, right? So there's basically like four styles that people communicate with, right? You're either the assertive person, like you push conversation, like you have this confidence. You're sometimes like you come off as being like forcefully polite towards an individual, or the way that you're really asserting yourself right to the forefront. You're not cutting corners, you're not beating around the bush. It's boom, right there in front of you. Very bold in their statements, and bold in the sense that it's the truth. It's like we're not no fluff, no little icing and rainbows and cupcakes. It's just do you want to go here? Do you want to go there? That's it. Very assured in what they're speaking about. Again, self-confident, very decisive, right? Another type of communication. There's like four general styles that people kind of agree on. Is your passive form of communication, right? That the more submissive type. It's like, oh, whatever you want, babe. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, oh, cool. No problem. They don't want to stir the pot. They don't want to outthink the room. They put themselves in a position where they sort of accept the information, and whether they want to go with it or not go with it, whether they have their own independent thought, but they have this, desire to do whatever it is or speak on a certain subject. You know what? Just okay, whatever. It's cool. Like I really like, to go to pizza and have stuff like that, but they want to do Mexicans. Oh, let's just go ahead and do it. Like you're the person that the great, like you acquiesce everyone's requests, right? You flow along with them, right? Not a bad style, very unconfrontational. A lot of times you find people who are with the types of people like the lamb, the sheep, the lion, and the goat or the cow. These are like your sheep people, right? It's like don't want any confrontation, don't want to upset anything, don't really want to rock the boat. Not too terrible. The third most likely accepted form of communication is like your passive aggressive style. These are the kind of people that you kind of like you take with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? You're like, you're kind of being a little resistant to what you want to do. Um, you you're agreeing, but you're not agreeing. They avoid any sort of confrontation, but they do it in an indirect way where it's like, oh, it'd be great to go to that place again. Instead of speaking up and saying, I don't enjoy going to XYZ because I've had this experience. Or they don't want to undercut whatever it is you're thinking, feeling, experiencing, but they have a displeasure for it, or they've had a negative experience, or it might not necessarily be at the top of their list. So you get this little bit of subterfuge reaction from them. Okay, whatever. Or it's like a sarcastic sort of a response. Hey, we're gonna go and watch a movie. Oh, that's great. Like another fucking, you know, comic book movie. Here we go. This ought to be fun. And it's kind of like, oh, damn. Okay, well, just tell me you don't want to go, or just say, hey, you have a great time. Enjoy the movie. I'm not really interested in tonight, but pick me up afterwards, and we'll go hang out here. But you feel almost like drawn into this response. Be careful. Careful with that. And of course, the last accepted style of communication, broad, is like the aggressive type of communicator, right? They are like the ones who just everything that is it's like assertive on steroids, right? You can be assertive and be polite. You can be very decisive. You can be um, very direct with what it is you want to communicate to the other person, place, or thing. The aggressive person, it's like energy cranked up. It comes off as being this forceful, in your face. It puts you in a defensive posture when really that's not an effective way to uh, communicate. Like they're always on the defensive. They're always ready to attack. They're always ready to justify whatever it is they're saying. We're going here because it's the best place in the world. And nobody's like whoa 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 whoa. Like I heard like nothing you said, but apparently it resonates so much with you that I am going to just sit back and just like, acquiesce to whatever you want because I don't want to piss off or rock the boat anymore because you're obviously already hyped. The problem is those individuals, and we all know them. Uh, People will say sometimes uh, they're the bad manifestation of individuals who carry themselves with a type A personality. Like there's type A individuals who are nose to the grindstone, go getters. They effectively communicate. They integrate multiple people, places, things into workspace, relationship, homes, um, accomplishing this task to keep people on point. And then there's just the people who are uh, they demand that you listen. They demand that you follow particular directions. Um, and it's not even a militaristic sort of approach. It is always something that's based in a competition, like a competitive delivery. Well, why would you want to talk to them and not talk to this person? Why do you want to go there and not go there? And like you're put into this position where either you meet it with that sort of intensity, or you're just like, I'm not going to do this. I see no good out of communicating this way with you. Like if you just told me like, hey, I'd like to go over here and try this. I think that would be cool to experience. Whether it turns out to be anything positive, negative, neutral or not, like let's just not ease into it, but like let's go into this eyes wide open. Let's go into this exploring everything, no pressure. This is the opposite. This is like we're going here because this is the reason. If you don't like it, you don't need to come. And then it's always followed up with like, and you're stupid if you don't, you're a loser if you don't, or you'll miss out, blah blah blah. Like they create this sense of this forceful competitiveness for no reason, like where it doesn't need to exist. Sometimes you need to communicate in an aggressive manner, right? Sometimes you need to um, you find yourself in a hostile environment where you're dealing with belligerent individuals, and the only effective way to communicate with them is to meet them on that level, right? Um, it's very intrusive to the other person. It's very invasive, but you need to grab a point and hopefully bring it back to a center. But why are we describing all these behaviors today? Why are we describing all these communication styles? Why did we start off with Mr. Cooper and Motorola? Because we've moved past things in 2023 where our forms of effective communication are vastly different. Vastly different. There used to be commonality in environment, circumstances, particular words, like the general lexicon of uh, the environment or the area or of the individual. You carried yourself a certain way publicly, privately, the way that you communicated in written word, written you know book, spoken conversation. There was a synchronicity of those words. If you certain places, so you change certain, obviously it changes, but if you told someone, oh, I really love that, like, oh, that's a deep driving passion that you would, give up or do whatever, or fight for, like so many little interpretations were, and now we have this play on words where what this means to you is completely different to someone else, and you could be within the same household, the same environment. Oh, I really like that. Particular words become inflammatory for certain individuals. Grammar, the communication, being effective in your communication across the board, understanding and identifying what of the four main types of communication styles really reflects you, being honest with it. Are you the assertive, direct person? Are you more of the passive person? Are you passive aggressive in your response? Are you aggressive from the get go in both response and action? Do you fluctuate between these different styles of communications? Knowing that and having the other person, your business, your career, coworkers, get to know this style in you and who you are and how you communicate, it lends itself to more effective communication. Right? If I know someone is the assertive type, they may be sad or melancholy, or they may not actually be enjoying something, but yet the way that they're presenting themselves to me, I would never know that. Whereas like someone else who like really takes something to heart, or it really resonates with them, and they don't really know which way to go or how to express or how to open up themselves to sharing it. There's a real difficulty in doing this, right? The insecurities. There's issues in, um, well, what happened before, and I shared, and it fell flat, and I don't want to talk. Being able to identify that in yourself, having other people identify that in you, when you then communicate, things become clear. You're more understood, and you're more likely to have a beneficial interaction because communication is constant, right? It's always going. It's always going. Like you can. It's people always say, "I've stopped the conversation at this point. I picked right back up over here." That's because this message that's being conveyed back and forth, you don't really need to say much of anything once you've established this base and this rapport with someone. I can get a text message from my best friend, and it can say you know, 2 words, and I've not spoken to this person for, let's say, 3 to 6 months. I know exactly what they're saying, the entire concept, the context, everything that expands out into, and then our personal experience of what's going on. What we run into nowadays, and I said that there's the skewing of certain people's words and understanding, like the the genre of words, if I can be so bold, has changed drastically. Our cell phones, right? That's why we start with cell phones, communication. We have this instantaneous communication point with us most likely 24/7, right? So we've come from where I'm picking up a phone and I'm making a request, or I'm using it in a business capacity with which to order something or to effectively communicate maybe, exigent details about a specific emergency, or to gather information in order to address said emergency. We're talking and texting to individuals for the very the very emotions that keep us moving forward and sustain us, which is kind of like a really slippery slope to get into, right? Like we've gotten to this point where we do like the hits, we do like the likes, we do like the impressions, we do, you know, like the smiley faces, whatever it is. And we've taken that, and in a business side of it, in um, a development side of it, people have become these influencers, right? People will pay you money for these impressions. Uh, a lot of times, what happens is that you lose yourself in this new style of communication. The danger is that since we are not communicating with the vast majority of individuals on a regular basis and understand where they come from, what they've been through, what you've been through, what you've shared, what you've grown, what you've moved past. Maybe he's had ups and downs. Maybe there are certain experiences that you may or may not share, and you had a completely different understanding of it that changes the way that you will communicate, because, well, now I need to listen a little bit more. Maybe I need to research some things afterwards. Maybe I need to really delve back into who I am. How many times do you hear, oh, texting or Snap or Instagram, or it's just not an effective form of communication because I don't know what you're trying to say. I don't get the context. But what does that mean? A thumbs up, a smiley face, a winky face. Are you being sarcastic? Are you being affirmative? Are you being non-committal? Are you being passive aggressive and just pacifying the the need for a response? And then how is the person interpreting it? Right? I brought this up in my last program. There's a great program with Key and Peele where they go back and forth about effective styles of communication, and one wants to go out, the other doesn't want to go out, and the next thing you know, you have all of these little 5 to 10 word communications back and forth. One person's happy as hell, the other person's getting completely pissed off. Says, oh yes, hey, what's up, BW? Yes, exactly, and that's where I never thought that we would get to this plateau, but obviously saw it like on the horizon. It's like, really want to go there? Are we really going to get there? And we are. And maybe it's a higher form of communication. I don't know, because the ancient Egyptians, like first emojis, right? They wrote everything in hieroglyphics. I mean, if you look at now modern society, there's people that I know, they can carry on a full, understood conversation 90 to 95% emojis, symbols, from relationship experiences, uh, event planning, travel, spontaneous behavior, uh, even communicating bits and part of the news. Like I've gotten and I've seen updates on Twitter about the Trump thing that's going on right now. And you see, like, orange picture of a guy, X'd out with the circle and flaming. Like, orange, like orange man bad, blah, blah, blah. But the point is that you don't have to even commit yourself to communicating beyond these symbols for someone else. when you're sending it to someone that you know, or someone that shares the same convictions, beliefs, blah, 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 totally different interpretation than from me when I see it. Right? I'm looking like, okay, whatever. And I was like, no, okay. How will this be done? So my kids had a book. It was like called the Emoji Book or something like that, and it was an entire like 120-page book, nothing but pictures and then little emojis. And I said to him, I was like, hey, like, what's going on in this story? And without skipping a beat, it's like boom, 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 boom. I was like, oh, okay. And then I kicked it back to the other one. I said, well, what do you think is going on here? And because of their own little personal experiences, even at a young age, similar story, different highlights. So effectively, screen could be the squirting eggplant from Egypt. I mean, the Mediterranean diet does consist of a lot of those vegetables. Baba ganoush, love it. Whip me up some. Move forward with the that and the hummus. But the imparting or exchange of information, uh, news, communication, sending, receiving, back and forth, satellites, televisions, computers, cell phones, text messages. Uh, we've come in 50 years from a very specialized, specific, almost futuristic, right at the point, instantaneous bits of communication. One of the most important things in your communication. And I know people will harp on it sometimes. They're like, why'd they hesitate? Why'd they hesitate? Why'd they hesitate? Reply, reply, reply. Um, Sometimes it's good in order to make your message as clear as possible. Like, okay, take a breath, read what's in front of you. And this means in text, something that's written, handwritten, something that's being said to you, and really formulate a, a concise uh, response and reply. We are victims so quickly to just swiping, tapping, liking, and we don't invest ourselves the 20, 30 seconds to really read and really understand what is being conveyed. Should you overthink everything? No, don't overthink everything. There's balance on both sides. But when you are effectively communicating and you understand what communicative style you are, and let me back that up a second. You may be an assertive individual when it comes to making your I statements. I enjoy this. I would like to go there. I think this would be beneficial for everyone, right? You take that ownership of what you're voicing, what your intentions are. However, you may be an aggressive listener. Everything's an attack. I need to justify everything. I bet I got to be on my best behavior because this, and this. Fill in the blanks. You may be a very passive listener, right? You may be the type of person that's like, I'm going to do da 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 da, but I don't want to piss them off, so let's just go here and let's go here and let's do that. Let's talk about this. I want to talk about my day, but they have a lot going on, so I'm not going to speak on my day. I'm just going to be quiet and I'm just going to listen. All of these combinations, all of these styles, they have their pros, they have their cons. What you want to hopefully accomplish in any bit of communication is that you're paying attention, right? You're not distracted by the TV. You're not distracted by this outside stimuli. Like, give the person that you are with or engaging even yourself your full attention. Like all of that manifestation stuff, all the meditation stuff, all the affirmation, none of that means a hill of beans if you're not focused on it and locked in on it. You're never going to pick anything up from what it is that you read, what it is that you watch if you're not actively engaged in it. You might get quippets of it, a little bit here, a little bit there, enough to, pass the test, kids, but you're not actually understanding it, digesting it, and able to regurgitate it with your own independent thought after processing it. You're not. You have to actively engage in that component of your communication. Listening to understand where people come from rather than listening to respond. We feel all the time like, oh, communicate, communicate, communicate. And people are like, here comes the call. Wait, 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 blah, 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 blah. Here's my reply. Here's my reply. Here's my reply. You don't always have to answer, right? Sometimes the best response is no response at all, right? Sometimes the best response is just an affirmation of what the other entity is communicating. There's a lot of wisdom in the phrase that you don't have to offer up all of these intimate details that are like unsolicited, right? That's like the person that you just meet and all of a sudden they dump their whole life on you. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, I just wanted to know like how the cheeseburger was. And now you've gone into this whole life story about how, cheeseburgers are bad because you used to live on like, a dairy farm and you couldn't understand the fact that they were going to take the cows and slaughter them and blah, 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 and how the, it's like, that's a lot that's going on. A lot of times you're not asking for that information, but you get it anyway. So what way are you going to handle it? What way you're going to respond to that? Are you the type of person that just immediately is like, oh my God, someone is actually communicating with me. Here's everything. Sometimes just pause, listen, understand. Sometimes you don't have to give your 2 cents. Sometimes the world doesn't want your 2 cents. Keep it to yourself. Think about it yourself. Just take it all in, take it all in, take it all in. When you have that sort of communication, you're listening, you're paying attention, you're understanding, um, you don't generalize what's being communicated to you, right? You don't throw it. Uh, you don't throw it into a specifically designated box, and you don't go after what that person is trying to convey. Hey, it's really hard to get past this point. I've tried this method and that method, and I've done this training and that training, but I just can't seem to get past, this particular plateau, whatever it is, work, life, relationship. Um, and you want to give them the permission to explain what is going on. You're giving this individual who's communicating with you the floor to communicate in their style. You want to be the receptive person. The things that you don't want to do, right, is that you don't want to dismiss what's being communicated towards you. One of the greatest tools when you do something like negotiation, crisis negotiation, is that they'll tell you right away, and it holds true. You you are far better off and more effectively in a you're in a better position to effectively communicate with anyone, when you, in the context of what's going on, safeties obviously, but that you don't affirm, but you acknowledge what they are communicating. Hey man, I can see that you're really, really pissed off, right? I'm not affirming Like, yeah, you should be fucking pissed off because this place is horrible and you should burn the whole thing to the ground and, F these people and jump off the bridge. No, that's not going to win you any points in that kind of conversation. But if I'm going to effectively communicate with you, I need to acknowledge the fact that, like, you're pissed off. I can see that you're pissed off. Tell me why you're pissed off, right? Someone who doesn't want to make a decision because they feel like they may upset someone, right? You want to use like this is empowering techniques, right? You want to acknowledge like, hey, I understand. Let's work this out. Let's talk. Let's really get to a better point, a better place. Things like criticizing an individual, and we do this a lot to people that we're close with. Sometimes it's jokey, casual, and that's fine. You can walk the line of this uh, flirty playfulness or this little dance where you're kind of in the gray area, and it's like it might be uncomfortable to talk about, so I might use a little bit of humor here, or I might like beat around the bush a little bit, but I'm kind of giving you the lifeline. If you need it, it's there. Take it. Um, when you tell people, man, you're never going to get there. System is just screwed. It's built up against you. It's you know, I see that you're pissed off, man, but here's why you're pissed off. Because you're just never going to do it. Yeah. So not only are you acknowledging what's coming from the other person, but you're giving not only a negative response, but now you're justifying why it's negative, why this person should cease whatever it is they're doing. And the ceasing part is based in the premise that I don't want you to stop communicating with me, because if you stop communicating, then you're more likely to devolve into some really erratic behaviors. Because anytime that we take our uh, our desires, our wantonness, our message, our light, and like you put it under the bushel basket or you bottle it up, it will manifest itself in some other area of your life. It just will. It will. You need to find some people, places, and things, or internally, where you can effectively communicate with yourself, with others, and with whatever higher power deity you want to be. Again, go back into your accountability, go back into your scheduling. What you need may not be what I need, blah, 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 blah. But if we are honestly communicating with ourselves in an effective manner, like, hey, you know what? I need 30 minutes where I just don't want to deal with anybody, even the ones that I love, because I need this for myself to center, to rest, to do whatever it is. I need 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep. Really hope it's not interrupted because it makes me a better person when da 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 da. When I speak in a professional manner, in a business manner, I am extremely effective. I am extremely confident and assertive. But yet in my private life, I may be more passive because I'm the type of person who wants to make sure that their their partner or their emotional rock is included and taken care of, and they don't want to seem selfish. They don't want to seem overbearing. That's what works for them. You have got to know where you fit in each one of these styles. Communication that we have from our phones, the instantaneous communication that we have from all these social media outlets, the instantaneous communication we have with our texting. We sometimes miss the message, right? Great Bill Murray movie, Lost in Translation. How you say it here, how it's interpreted over there, night and day, right? It's the pass the story down the line example. Knowing who you are in the way of receiving communication, giving communication, letting it sit, digesting it, understanding it better, breaking it down, putting it in context. You know, they say that if you are communicating in a positive manner, that this is something that usually takes place on like a daily basis. It could be very small, very minute communication, or it could be something intense, right? Depending upon circumstances, changes, whatever it is going to be. Can it become overbearing? Yeah, it can. Everybody at corporate loves to send you the little daily memo with the mission statement tacked to the bottom. And it's like, and have a great day. Go out there and rule the world. Go out there and be a superhero. I don't need to hear it every single day. Like now you're becoming passive aggressive with your message. Right now I feel like you're being condescending to what it is that I'm doing. And then there's some individuals like, this is great. Best motivation ever. My company really cares for me. My honey bunny's checking in with me. They want to make sure that my breakfast was good. Now my lunch was good. I can't wait to see them at dinner time. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it's like, this is just fucking annoying. Like I'm an adult. I can handle myself. Like I don't need, the 35 memos about my TPS report. I need one person or two people to effectively communicate to me exactly what it is that we need. But you need to know where you are on that arc of communication, not only in the response side of it, but in the accepting side of it. I get a text message from one person, same 3 sets of emojis. Love it. On cloud 9. Can't wait to, FaceTime with this person, talk to this person, be in their presence. Puts us like my whole disposition has changed. I get the same 3 emojis from someone else. I'm like, you have got to be bleeping kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Like again, really? Like you're being condescending. You're being, you're twisting a knife. You're trying to throw shade. You're trying to impress me. You're trying to cut me down. All of these different interpretations, reactions, completely subjective to two people or the 2 or more people that are doing the communicating, right? Make a reference to Henry's program. It started out as the birthday wish message, right? You had a group chat. I'm going to rehash Henry's thing, but it makes a lot of points. It's right about communication. Is that you have this chat. Everybody knows it's so-and-so's birthday, and you want to wish the person happy birthday. First person, oh man, hey, happy birthday, great, you're coming ahead, blah, blah, blah. You killed Rocket, blah, 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 blah. Next person, hey man, happy birthday, you being awesome, have a good one. Third, by the time you get down to like that 6th, 7th person, and you're trying to convey this same message, you're at a loss, right? You don't know how else to really communicate what it is that you are that you're trying to right? You're trying to get this message across. Aside from just like, hey, happy birthday. Right? But we have this little button in our head, little blinker in our head that's like, is that gonna be effective enough to communicate that? Should I really say it? Are they gonna appreciate it? How are they gonna receive it? Communicating? It's always best, in my opinion, no matter where you fall, to be as direct as you possibly can that's comfortable for you. Sometimes there's a little bit of interpretation. Sometimes like, come on, pulling teeth, trying to get the message out. But you have to be willing to take that first step. And the person that you are communicating with, or the business that you are communicating with, has to know or should know the type of communicator that you are. Right? That's why you don't put someone who is an extremely introverted individual, although they may have every single bit of statistical, analytical acumen in the world, you don't put them out in the forefront, because the way that they communicate may not resonate with your audience. Now, if it comes to a point where that skill set effectively fits the communication, then the happy, energetic, fun guy or fun girl who brings up all the, fireworks and the dance and handing out all the giveaways, they're not the type of person that I need to sit down in front of me and say, look, this is the bottom line. This is the reason why it's the bottom line. Here are the facts, the stats, the circumstances, the reactions, the quantitative data. This is where we need to go and not go. This is where we have to make our decisions. But knowing how to effectively communicate is essential. The only way that we are able to effectively communicate is, are you assertive? Are you passive? Are you passive aggressive? Are you aggressive? Receiving and giving. They talk about, give me effective styles of communication. How do you do this? It means giving your partner, giving your job, giving your career, giving yourself. Because we communicate with ourselves. People don't want to talk about that. It's like, oh, you got another person. We communicate with ourselves all the time, right? We're the people who motivate ourselves. We're the people who give ourselves the permission to be like, and you're having this conversation constantly, right? So if you're the type of person that's thinking about whatever it is that's going to happen during your day, what is not going to happen during your day, what your limits, extremes are, you are already setting yourself up for this response without even being confronted with it. It's what they say, you're putting the cart before the horse. You're a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's why I feel like, man, it's a great, successful, awesome day. The weather's gonna be fantastic, and I can't wait to go out there and interact with blah 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 blah. Or I can't wait to go to work and really bang out my 9 to 5, and it's gonna be totally awesome. I'm gonna wrap everything up. So, and like, you're putting this before you. So now when you are confronted, like, because you're confronted with this, no one uh, no one voluntarily is uh, you're not like spontaneously hit with communicate, or you're not spontaneously hit with this sort of interaction, right? It's like, you're going to work, right? You're gonna have to interact with people. You're gonna call up your boyfriend or girlfriend. There's gonna be something there. You anticipate what will be before you. Man, if they had a really shitty day, I know that this will make them feel better. Or, hey, man, Brian's really overwhelmed with all the work and statistics that are on his desk today. I got nothing. I'm going to come by and be like, hey, man, I'm going to pick this up and, take care of this for you. Or let's work on this together. Communicating and being able to identify all of these little nuances, the giving and the coming, the back and forth, you have to know it yourself. And then when you're in those situations, tips. Number one, you have to give full attention to it. Whether you like it or not, you got to give full attention to it. Even if you're the most aggressive motherfucker in the world, stop. Stop. Bite your tongue a second. Let them talk. Whether it's your job, whether it is the person that you are head over heels with, whether it's the person that you are just getting to know, whether it is any sort of personal thought and experience, you start getting these thoughts, thinking about this, meditating about that, start to wander over here, start to wander over there. And you're like, oh, come back to center, come back to center, come back to center. Your stuff goes sometimes. Let it explore. Which leads to our next step, right? Like, do not interrupt unless there's like space and you need like this big ass pause, or there's some kind of safety thing, or like you need to interject because it's like immediate urgency. Like, I noticed that there was a really suspicious blah blah blah. And you're like, yeah, let's go. Or you see something that will directly impact everyone around you. Speak up, say something, jump into it, make it where, hey, what's up, Trev? I saw you calling, but we're doing the show, baby. We're doing the show. creating a safe, yeah, a safe space, creating a space where you can talk, where the other person doesn't feel like they're backed into a corner, where they don't feel like, oh my god, I can't say what's on my mind, or they're going to be judging me. Um, Identify and take ownership of what it is that you're trying to communicate. I'm really feeling shitty. I really wish we could do this. I really wish the business was going in this direction. Like you're taking ownership for this communication. Be honest. Seriously, be fucking honest. If you're in any sort of endeavor, business, relationship, personal, be honest with yourself, right? There's always those little motivational magnets and posters, and it's like, aim for this, like, shoot for the moon, or aim for the stars, aim for the moon, you land the stars, whatever that bullshit is. It's like, shoot high goals, and even though you might not get there, you might, still be up in the sparkly cloud, universe, rainbow, wonderland, whatever. Great idea. In theory, nice, fist bump, right? Like, totally awesome. Like, yeah, go for it. Like, really, try to be an Olympian. If you're not Olympian, maybe you'll get X, Y, and Z. I think you should be honest and realistic with what is actually in front of you. It's not saying that you can't have goals and you shouldn't have aspirations. You absolutely should. But you should be able to sit there and look and say, like, hey, we want to get to this point. That's our end game. In order to get there, we've got to do X, Y, and Z, 1, 2, and 3. And you got to be all in, committed on it. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, it's going to be highs, going to be lows. But this is what I can do. This is what you can do. This is what we can do for ourselves. This is what I can do for the business. What are we going to do? Again, communicate back and forth. How will this actually work to actually and realize this goal over here? You're not saying that you don't shoot for this goal. You are shooting for this goal, but you are effectively communicating to everyone involved. This is what it's going to take to get there. And we're going to keep checking in throughout this whole process in order to get to this goal. And if we need to switch things up, if you can't handle something, then say it. Because how many times have you been in a business or you've been in a relationship and you're just not equipped at this particular moment to do what it is that you want to do? But you force yourself, and it's most likely going to turn into this negative outcome. Oh, you got to force, you got to push yourself through. What do you talk about, Duncan? You're being the unmotivator, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying that if I actually went to go run a marathon, right, I wouldn't just put on the sneaks, run around the block 2 times, sign up and run a marathon the next day, right? There's that whole process of conditioning, building up, training, diet. And these are all different metaphors for relationships, our own self-development, etc. Being able to point it out, identify, communicate it, accept it, have the goal, and then take the steps to get there. A lot of times we don't make communication between ourselves fun, right? I mean, like, sometimes it should be fun communicating with people. Not like joke, ha ha kind of fun, but everyone's got that one individual, 2 individuals in their little group or in their family, and it's like you can hear how serious they are in a text message, right? You can hear how serious they are because when the phone rings and it's them that's on the caller ID, you're like, oh, here we go. Not everything has to be a joke. Not everything has to be sunshine and rainbows. But, you know, people want to have these, you know, I'm guilty of it sometimes, like the deep, deep conversations. And a lot of times, like, it doesn't have to really be super, super deep. Enjoy what's in front of you. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the way that, the world sometimes has its little flow to it, right? Um, Pausing, another key tool. Pause a second. Sometimes we're bombarded with all of this heavy, 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 heavy fucking information. And it's like, all right, well, before I jump out and before I give you my 55 million cents about it, let me sit, let me think about it. Is it the end of the world? Is it really going to matter to me in 24 hours? Is it going to matter to me in a week? Is it going to matter to me in 2 weeks? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we're in this constant battle nowadays that everything matters all the time, right now, in this moment. Oh, somebody just said something. Oh, what a dickhead. Oh, amazing. They correct themselves. It's so wonderful. Oh, they're being an idiot again. Oh, and like boom, 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 boom. We are not allowing ourselves to think and process. We are in this constant reactive form of communication. It's like, here's info, react. Here's info, react. Here's a picture, react. This is going on, react. While sometimes the assertiveness of that communication, the aggressiveness of that communication lends itself to the benefit of many of professional endeavors, influencers. Is it really effectively communicating the totality of the message? We are faced with this reactiveness. And unfortunately, we find that our momentary pause, where we used to tell people, hey, let me think about it for a second and I'll get back to you, that really no longer exists. And if it does exist, it's such a finite window of time that if you are unable to communicate a response in this particular window, you're dismissed, passed over, and moved on. Right? There's a lot of good people out there who have met other really good people, and people either go like balls to the wall crazy, and you're like, whoa, 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 oh, too much, too much, too much, oversensitized, way too much going on, and you're like, dismiss this. Like, I can't. Might have been a really great person, might have been a really great business opportunity, but too much, too fast, didn't give me enough time to process this. Or on the other side, it's so drawn out that you're like, just fucking make a commitment one way or the other. Like, are we going to do this business thing? Are we going to go for it? Are we going to go after that sale? Are we going to make the change in the office? We all see the writing on the wall. Like, when is this going to happen? When is the beat? Like, when is that going to drop? But you have to have this balance of, okay, I hear what you're saying. And a lot of this, like, there's fluid conversation, right? Sometimes that pause reflection is like 25, 30 seconds. You're having this back and forth communication, right? A lot of times there's like, you listen, you sit there, you nod your head. Okay, okay, okay. Person's done. You think about it, you come back and you're like, hey, after quiet thought and reflection, I really feel as if blah, 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 blah. That person might not even fucking want to hear that right now because they've already purged whatever they need to purge. They've gotten whatever it is off their chest and moved on. So again, when you are effectively listening, effectively being the receiver of the communication, what are you expected to do after you have this information? This is why knowing yourself, your style, giving and taking, accepting, receiving, and knowing the medium that it's coming from is so important. People put out hot takes all the time. They want people to go, that guy's an asshole. Man, she's such a bitch. Oh my God, I can't stand that. That's so horrible. Just boom, 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 boom. You haven't thought about it. You haven't researched. You haven't looked at it. I'm not saying to do that every single fucking time. But I'm saying that how quickly and easy it has become for us just to be engaged, react, be engaged, react, engage, react, and we feel like this need to constantly have this volley. And when we don't have this volley, it's like, does my boss even like me? Does my spouse even like me? Are they even thinking about me? And it manifests itself in each one of these ways, right? You have the person who calls and was like, yeah, I know you're probably going out with your friends tonight, and there's gonna be a lot of like girls there and guys there, and you'll be hanging out. And like, I'm just gonna be home, hanging out if you care. All right, have a good time. I'll talk to you later. Bye. I'm like, whoa, that was really fucking shady and trying to cut me under, make me feel some kind of way. Or you have the person who's like, why the hell are you going out? Why are you doing this? And you're not including me, and you're making so and so the lead sale on this, and I was the person got here, but and you're like, slow down. Slow down. No one has forgot about you. No one has kicked you to the curb, right? Because if you're effectively communicating from the other side of the coin, people will know exactly where they stand. People love clarity. I don't know if there's anybody who likes to exist in the chaos or in the mist or in the fog. That's not cool. Now, once you're out of that fog, once you have the clear communication, if you're aggressive, if you're passive aggressive, if you're assertive, if you're just completely acquiesced in nature, that's on you. Once you have all that information, what you do with it at that point, that's your part of responding. Which one of those manners you can respond in? Nonetheless, and in conclusion for today, effectively communicating. Directness is usually better than leaving things up for interpretation and imagination. People tend to respect someone a little bit more if you are able to find a way to effectively communicate this. Okay, so maybe you're not the type of person who is really good with sitting in front of someone and saying, I don't really feel like that's part of my role in my job, and I'm kind of a little hesitant to undertake this new responsibility. Put in an email, put it in a text, speak to someone that can be like your shop steward or your union steward or whatever it is. There's always another form of communication to get your message across. However, once you take that and put it into any sort of medium, the message begins to change. Because how I read something may be different than the way that you are trying to communicate it. You know how you communicate, you know how you respond, you know how you listen. Take a pause if you're able to. Process and digest if you're able to. And if you are not afforded the time to do that, if it has to be an instantaneous sort of decision or engagement, if you're aware of who you are, how you respond, who is communicating to you, you are more equipped to give a well balanced, confident response. Hey, if you want to go to that party, that's really cool. It's not my cup of tea. I hope you have a good time. I would just be careful. You're not telling somebody what to do. You're expressing your own personal reservations. You're expressing your care and concern for them. But in all actuality, the final decision, the style, whatever it is going to rest with the other person. Just know that I'm here for you on the backside. Or like, hey, you know what? I really don't want to go to this, but I'm going to follow along anyway because I care about this, and this, and how it affects and does whatever to you and to your life. Um, Communicate effectively. Find your style. Are you assertive? Are you passive? Are you passive aggressive? Are you aggressive? Take the time. Be fully engaged. Listen. 90% of communication is listening. In the greatest, most traumatic, trying, shit hitting the fan situations, listening has solved more problems than being take charge aggressive. I'm going to tell you what to do. It just does. It just absolutely, absolutely does. It's not saying the situations don't call for it sometimes. And we've skewed ourselves from those conversations as well. Right? There are a lot of things that we may or may not have communicated when we were younger that would have gotten a very swift and direct response or reply. Some of that might be needed nowadays. Some of it, a little too much. Find the balance for it. Know who you are, know how you communicate, know how you interpret it, know how you respond. This is all self stuff. Right? It's all self stuff. You tweak things here and there, certain people, places, things, but for the most part, there's people that love being told or being critiqued. Other individuals, it's hard for them to accept corrective criticism. It's hard for them to accept the fact that the way you're doing something, awesome. It's getting to the end result. But instead of going A, B, D, C, E, we can just do A, B, C. Well, that doesn't work for me. Give it a shot. Try it. Listen. Hear it out. Take some time. Think about it. Challenge yourself to figure out how you really communicate. And it starts with yourself. Are you listening to yourself? Are you listening to the cues and the signs that your entire person is giving you? And challenge yourself, right? Sometimes you need to put yourself in a situation that might be a little uncomfortable in order to really see the type of communicator that you are. It's good. Anything that's worthwhile takes effort. Challenges are good. Everyone, tonight, Palm Beach Capo Show, No Filter Network, Bleacher Brothers Inc. I believe it's 8 p.m. on this station. Brent, myself, possibly Captain Ron will be on the Capo Show. Stephen Luker is on this evening at 9 p.m. himself, and Play Action Real will do retro ads. Also, I believe tonight, Joe Q is doing the Philly Guy Speaks. Phillies play the Yankees. Men's National Championship tonight. Go over to bleachbrothers.com, either on Twitter or on the website, and vote UConn or San Diego State. The UConn has routed everybody in this tournament. I think it's like a 15-point average. I don't see them slowing down against San Diego State. UConn has played a much... The road to the Final Four has been a little more arduous than San Diego State. And, be the best, got to beat the best. UConn wins this and be like their fifth title since like 99 or 2000. And college basketball, that's a pretty big deal. So go ahead and check it out. Capos tonight, Luker tonight, Quills tonight. Get on Bleach Brothers Twitter, website, vote UConn, San Diego State. All the money's on the Huskies, all the bettors, all the lines. Like, oh, all the money on UConn. This is one of those take UConn. Just take UConn. I mean, San Diego State wins. Amazing story. Like, really, really cool story. But, again, you got to pay the bills. Make a couple bucks. Grab UConn. Take the 7.5. They'll cover the 7.5 probably easily. I don't see really anybody that is not going to take UConn. But then again, who knows? They're communicating that it's such a one-sided affair. Maybe it's going to be San Diego State shocking the world. All right, everyone, thank you for joining. I will see you all later. Wednesday may or may not happen. There's a half day coming into the Easter week for everyone who's out there celebrating the Christian holidays that are coming. This is, the most important week in the Christian Catholic calendar. The Triduum starts where it's Holy Thursday, Good Friday, the Holy Saturday in the Tomb, the Resurrection on Sunday, Passover. Following week after this weekend, you'll have the Greek Orthodox celebrating Easter. So everyone out there, welcome, enjoy your holiday, enjoy your family, enjoy your friends. Hope the Easter Bunny brings you chocolate and Easter eggs and jelly beans. And if you like Peeps, not a fan of Peeps, but if that's your thing, enjoy Peeps. I'm not hating on them. I just don't trust a candy that, just not a Peep fan. Anyway, have a good day.